No bills at all. Is he calling the bathroom?
He's not coming back. What's that?
Are you related to Tim?
Yeah.
Yeah, my brother Tim.
Your brother,
I think
your
Bill's
brother?
coming in.
A little taller than me.
Yeah,
He
Paul.
said he's 19.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I worked with him many years ago when
Okay.
when he was in college.
Huh.
I just happened to, I had a meeting for my kid the other day, and your wife was in there, and I didn't realize she was your wife. And I'm like, I wonder if she's doing it. Oh, that's his wife. And then I thought, Tim, and I'm like, no way, this guy, there's a relation there. Oh, all right.
Well, thank you.
There it is.
Just this.
Is it gonna be one of these?
I had a different jacket under with
I hope not. But I have mine here
planning
too,
to go to a
so
game after.
we should be good.
I'm going to stuff like that. No, none whatsoever. Tip off at 8:15. What's that?
Which one?
Denver and Omaha. Yeah. $25 to $28 at half. They're up by 3.
Who's that by three?
That's the issue.
Turn it on.
Really playing?
Can we turn it on?
I don't have it streaming. If somebody has Go Plus, they can.
We can mirror it to the TV.
Is that guys are next to?
Yeah.
Do we have a full house?
No Riley, no Sam.
Sam's on the
Sam's on the
phone.
phone with you. We got Will, Brian, Kyle, Mitch, and your name?
Tony.
Tony.
Thank you.
Yep.
We got new corners on our desks too, it's pretty fancy.
Yeah, it's pretty fancy, Bill. You're gonna love it.
I knew you'd all love it.
Oh, boy.
We've been staring at these things in the closet for
Maybe I'll take a picture and send it to you just because I'm
5
so
years. Yeah. I don't know why they took them off.
I'll feel included that way. Perfect.
You don't have to sit quite as close to Riley anymore.
There's more elbow room.
Yeah, you're gonna hit your knee on the support, I think.
Oh, yes.
Oh, maybe not.
It just gives you more.
Yeah, you can kind of lean
Yeah.
back. Chad's gonna.
Okay, sorry.
Just look at a minute.
Mine shows 7.
I said 6:59.
Daylight savings may have,
My phone says 7. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everyone. First up is additions to and approval of the agenda. I would like to add one quick item under executive session for personnel.
Motion to approve is amended?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
You were in favor, right, Sam?
I was.
Okay, that's what I assumed. I'll just have to wait longer. I forget. There's a delay. Okay, next up is visitors to be heard. Anybody wishing to address the council can come up to the podium. You have a 2-minute window. Seeing none, we'll go on to consent agenda.
I just have a question, sorry, on the city administrator report, on the marquee sign.
Mhm.
You talked about the grant. Can we use that for anything else?
I can ask.
Okay. Motion to
motion and second. Was there any further discussion there? All right, hearing none, we'll do roll call. Mauer,
Aye.
Doherty,
Aye.
Swear,
Aye.
Bowers,
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
All right, consent agenda is approved. On to old business, agreement with alternative HR.
Mayor and Council, this is tabled from last meeting. You requested additional information regarding human resource services available to the city. Those are summarized in the attached brochure in your packet. So that's the, I think I call it the Employment Practices Hotline. It's available through South Dakota Public Assurance Alliance. I also had conversations with them regarding an audit of HR practices, and that's not something they do. They did suggest alternative HR as a resource for that service. I would strongly encourage them to engage in that specific service, similar to how we do our outside fiscal audits, just to have an outside eye on it. Recommend a motion to approve.
So you're saying up to 3,000?
Yeah, it should be more than enough. Going back, look, they had quoted it at, I think it was 18 and change, plus mileage, so,
Does that include the, like, on-call
no.
service? The 3,000 that you're asking to be approved up to that amount. So would you just come back to the council each time there was like an on-call need?
If there's an on-call need, we can use the employment practices if we need to.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion there?
It wasn't in the motion, but I'll make a note that that's just for the audit service. That's helpful.
Okay. All right, we're spending some money, so Welch.
Aye.
Bowers.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye.
Doherty.
Aye.
Swear.
Aye.
All right, agreement with alternative HR is approved. On to new business, Central Basin 4, Project KF 9.
Good evening, everyone. You have in your packet, pay application number 9. This is largely for the work that they did over the winter with installing the casing pipes underneath the railroad. They put a sanitary sewer crossing and a water main crossing. So this gets them paid up to date for that work, and we recommend approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion there? All right, Swear.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Mauer.
Aye.
Doherty.
Aye.
Bowers.
Aye.
All right, KF 9 is approved. On to Central Basin 4, Project Change Order 1.
So we have a change order tonight to discuss, change order number 1. We have a few items from last year's project that we need to get the contractor paid for. And we can walk through these items here just so you guys get familiar with it. We reviewed it with staff at our last couple of meetings. I want to kind of summarize, there's a couple things happening here. We had some small things that got added that were necessary for the project that were eligible for the state funding. We have some work coming onto the project that's not eligible, has more to do with side streets that weren't in the best shape to begin the project, and the city staff has decided they want to repair those areas and add that to the project. So we have to be a little careful how we denote that in change order, so that, because the funding people won't pay for those things that are for
Ineligible costs.
yeah, outside the project. So again, when you look at the cover of the change order, there's RFPs associated with each one of these items. RFP 1, RFP 2, and RFP 3 are listed as additional project improvements. You can skim through each request if you like. For instance, RFP 1, we had a few pedestrian barricades that we needed to add to the project. We had some hydrant extensions that needed to be added. some electrical work for a light pole that was on private property that had to be taken down temporarily and put back up. On RFP number 2, we had some requests for concrete stairs. We had a few areas where the sidewalks that come off the main patio, we call them carriage walks that come out to the main sidewalk, were a little steeper than they like, so we try to work with the property owners. If we think it's too steep, then we'll go back in and put some concrete steps in. So we had a couple requests for that. One had a handrail requested. But the big items are on RFP request number 3.2, which is a mill and overlay, which was off the project. This was just, there's an area of, street was that Cedar?
Cedar.
North of First Street, by that open parking lot that just settled a little bit, was a little wore out, so we asked the contractor to mill that off and we paid that. They used, when we bid these projects, we have unit prices for all these items, so we have a unit price established for the tons of asphalt that get put into that. We utilize that unit price, but then they asked for additional $1,500 just for the extra work that they had to do for that. So I thought that was very reasonable. The other larger one is the request 3.3, which is the 2nd Avenue asphalt repairs. If you go and look at that stretch of 2nd Avenue between Academy and Blaine,
Garfield.
The pavement's just deteriorated, and then it was like that before the project really started. And so this is a good opportunity just to get that block tore out and fixed while contractors are out there. So that was the big add of $42,500 to bring that work on. They haven't done that work, but they're going to do it this spring. This just adds it onto their contract, and they'll get to it when they have their crews back here this spring or summer. Those are the cliff notes, I guess. All in all, we also have some savings on the project, so back to the cover sheet. Those items listed 20, 30, 46, 47, 48, and 121. We feel that we've saved those items on the project, so we tried to pull some of those items off so that we can balance. We're really doing is balancing the funding side. Because we did bring some work that's eligible to the funding, we're bringing some work off that we're not utilizing. But at the end of the day, the $45,500 is pretty much reflecting of that added asphalt and the added mill and overlay that won't be fundable through this project or through the state. It'll have to be funded out of local funds. I think you've already evaluated, kind of gone through that, right?
Yeah, we would use second penny sales tax bonds that are still available. We've got about $610,000 that's still available. So even after the Meadows drainage project and some public works equipment purchases this year, we've got plenty of funding still available.
So I would recommend approval. Again, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
So with the section of 2nd Street between Blaine and Academy, that was in such disrepair before construction that now it's fallen even further in disrepair? Is that what I to believe?
Yes. Yeah, and it's between Garfield and Academy.
It's just the one block.
One block.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that on the original plan?
Okay.
You know, we
I don't think it included any utility work.
didn't include any utility work. It was just, I guess we didn't pay attention to how, poor it was, and that really wasn't part of the scope, I guess, to address that block. I mean, there's other blocks that, could probably use a facelift, but, where do you start and stop is kind of the question sometimes.
But this block did not have any underground utilities that would need to be
Correct.
replaced.
Right.
And so therefore it didn't really fall in any future CIP projects, just because we're focused on that.
That wasn't focused.
Right, so that was another part of the discussion. If they're here, it's nearby.
it seems like a pretty good idea, and it seems like a win in cost reduction by doing it now.
Yeah, and their unit prices are based off of 23 prices, so, yeah. You're not gonna get any cheaper, that's for sure.
Motion to approve change order number 1.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Is there any further discussion there? All right, we'll do roll call. Swear,
Aye.
Bowers, Welch.
Aye.
Doherty,
Aye.
Mauer,
Aye.
Sam.
I thought you said Mauer, yeah. Aye.
Oh, you're fine. Maybe I'll say Sam because it is hard to hear. So yes, change order number 1 is approved. Next is award bid Meadows Drainage Repair Project.
So you should have in your packet a letter of recommendation to award the project from us. We opened bids and we had, what was it? 9 bidders. And our estimate was right around this 315,000 that Metro came in third on. In fact, I think that was our number. It just it wrote it.
Yeah.
Estimating number. But we had a very good turnout, so a lot of interest in the project. Got really good prices. You can see everybody was pretty tight on their bids. Parkway Construction was the parent low at $243,310. Tony is here tonight. He represents Parkway Construction and can speak towards his company. And if you have any questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer those.
My only question is when we opened bids, it was like LT Construction or something, or LD something? It wasn't.
LT.
It wasn't Parkway?
LT is kind of another company, and I got Parkway's a DBA of it.
Okay.
It just, yeah, it's kind of confusing sometimes.
When we so that was just, I read it off the envelope that way. When we opened the contract, it was labeled as
Parkway.
Parkway. It was LT, how was it phrased? Parkway doing business as LT, is that how it's phrased?
That's how about it.
Yep. Which we see that from time to time on bids. So that's nothing abnormal by any means. Tony and I did talk about subcontractors, so he's got a subcontractor list presented here. And we've worked with all of them in the past and they're reputable.
The performance bond is with LT or Parkway?
It'd be with Parkway.
Okay.
The contract would be awarded
To Parkway.
to Parkway, and it would all be, and that might be something we wanna have Brett just weigh in on exactly how that should read.
If it's a DBA, I don't know that is that significant. I just want to make sure that performance bond is under the correct, whoever we award the contract to.
Yeah. When we, it'd probably be good just to have Brett review that when it does, because the next step, assuming we award it tonight, will be to send out contracts. They'll take the time to sign them, send the bid bonds, the payment bonds back to us for review, make sure they're, in good standing.
Everything's there.
And then, we'll bring them back to the mayor to execute and redistribute them. But that'd probably be where we could get.
Yep.
Make sure
I agree.
Brett is good with everything.
So we're looking for a motion upon Brett's approval.
Normally we would award it, and then if for some reason the contracts, if there's an issue with the contracts, we would not award, we would not distribute them, we would not take them towards execution. And then we would be coming back to you about, talking about going to the next bidder possibly.
I think pending city attorney approval would be appropriate.
Yeah, that's what I think so too, yeah.
When are you looking to start and how long do you think it'll take?
I think, a lot of it's gonna be, obviously the weather's beautiful now, we're all looking at that, but, it'll probably come down to a lot of, watch the weather and see what, when the the actual blacktop plants are gonna start heating oil up. You know, they're not gonna wanna fire up for the year unless they know that they're not gonna get 10 degrees and 20 degrees, so it costs money to keep their oil hot. So that's gonna be the, you know, the work itself won't take long, in and out, you know, like I said, if I do one next section 1 week, it's just the blacktoppers, when can I get those guys going, or when can they actually start, putting mix down?
Sure.
That's kind of the question. The way the temps look, I bet you it'll be probably in early April, I bet. But yeah, a couple weeks would be a quick little job in and out.
Good. I'll make a motion to approve the Parkway construction bid pending city attorney approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion there? All right. We will do a roll call on this one again. So Swear,
Aye.
Doherty,
Aye.
Mauer,
Recuse.
Bowers,
Aye.
Welch.
Abstain.
So we have 3. Do I have to vote? 3 of the 5 voted. That's,
It's not a tie.
It's not a tie. It's 3-0 with 2 abstaining.
and can I vote? Yeah.
Not-
So it doesn't directly go in front of certain individuals' homes. Like it goes in front of my house, but
Mhm.
not Walt or Stacy's, right?
It might touch yours, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
That would be if we were really chasing something.
Yeah.
Maybe, they can call it in. I don't know,
We can.
You might abstain too.
You might abstain.
why would he abstain?
I know some of the contractors.
Oh,
We have a vote. Let me go back and figure out. I don't know that we're gonna resolve that tonight, but
Okay.
let me go back and, we have a recorded vote.
Right.
I'll work with Brett to figure out what we need to do here.
Okay, so I will not sign these until we figure that out.
Not yet, correct.
Okay. Nothing, you're fine.
Well, I was just gonna say,
It's more
It would
procedural.
work if it was some of the bond or something. I said,
Yeah.
that's not-
No.
No. Okay. So then we will move on to item D, award bid 2024 slurry seal project.
Go ahead and present. We're gonna confer. We think it's a good
I
vote.
think it's good,
Okay.
because there
It's
was
not a-
nothing that was
I think
against
so.
it, it was just the ones that voted for it, and the ones that
It's a
didn't.
quorum of the
Are
people that
Of
voted.
that, of that are present.
Correct.
Yes.
Right,
That's how I kind of look at it.
yes.
Okay, but anyway.
So we'll move on to the 2024 slurry seal recommendation to award. If you remember, this is a project that City of Sioux Falls let, and the neighboring communities participate in that letting. They had 2 bidders this year. You can see them listed, the low bidder being Asphalt Surface Technologies Corp. out of St. Cloud, Minnesota. I've never worked with them. They're out of, a lot of these slurry seal contractors that come through, and we don't see very often because they're regional. But I know Sioux Falls is planning to award their contract to asphalt surfacing companies. With that, I guess I would recommend you do the same as long as you still wanna participate this year. But yeah, any questions?
Basically the same process
Yeah.
as what we had last year.
Yeah, we'll have our own contract with the contractor. And then, but yeah, as far as the work that occurs, it's the same type of material, same spec that goes down. There's a map of the streets that we're doing this year. Yeah, it's the same type of thing.
motion to award the contract to Asphalt Surfacing Technologies.
Second.
Contingent upon the city of Sioux Falls awarding their portion.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll do roll call again. It's one of those nights. We'll do, Mauer.
Aye.
Doherty.
Aye.
Welch.
Aye.
Sam.
Aye.
And Swear.
Aye.
All right, 2024 Slurry Seal project is approved. All right, I think, are we good? Mitch?
I think so.
Okay, thank you. All right, on to item E, South Dakota Water and Wastewater Agency Response Network Mutual Aid Agreement.
Board docs isn't responding for me. Mayor and Council, this is an agreement we've executed before, I think back in 2019. What it is an emergency response, kind of a mutual aid agreement between water and wastewater systems throughout the state. There's no cost to participate. If we opt to provide personnel or equipment or materials to another system, that's reimbursed. Same thing if we request from someone else for assistance. You hope you never need something like this, but we have had instances in the past 5 years that we probably could have used some help. There are towns and systems that have definitely needed and gotten the help over that same time frame. I can remember back in 2020, I think 2019, Madison needed a lot of help from neighboring systems due to some heavy rainfall. Just a couple weeks ago, Pine Ridge requested a pump and some fittings, and I think 3 or 4 different systems got together to get that to happen. So it's a good system overall for us. We recommend approval.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Do they offer like any professional development or other educational opportunities for our employees?
They do not. That would be offered through South Dakota Association of Regional or Rural Water Systems. That's typically where we get that at the technical conference.
Is there any cost to this? This is just,
Just if we use it, we need to reimburse if we requested personnel from South Lincoln Rural Water or Sioux Falls or something, we would need to reimburse for those costs.
gotcha. Okay. The motion second, yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Agreement is approved. On to item F, street sweeper purchase.
Good evening, everyone. The city, specifically the street department, is looking at purchasing a new street sweeper. The one that we have, just to kind of give you an overview, we bought it brand new in 2002. For the first 5, 6, 7, roughly 10 years, there was really no service records, at least none that I could find. From 2012 to 17, there were several dates. They were more or less just the basic maintenance stuff. And then since 2019, we have had roughly, I want to say, 21,000-ish in repairs. Most of that's just due to it's old. I mean, it does the dirtiest job in town. We had it in 2021, and they did just over $17,500 worth of repairs. And that was mainly to the engine, the drivetrain, the transmission, all of that stuff. They did some of the bare minimum on the actual sweeping components, and they kind of said, this is coming towards the end of its life. I know back then we did have a conversation about maybe purchasing one. We decided to go ahead and fix it and then see if we could get away with it for a few more years, which we did. Now we're at the point where all of the mechanical sweeping elements are in the same boat. The repair that they quoted me on was quite a bit more substantial. It was over $20,000. The machine's worth maybe $5,000. So I did some digging and got some quotes, which I believe you all have. They're all relatively great machines. I would recommend the one down in Omaha. It has the least amount of hours, and I believe the second most, trying to write paper, second most hours, which, I mean, that few hours and lots of miles means they're using it very efficiently. I would recommend the purchase of that 2013 from Midwest Machinery in Omaha. And obviously, it's in their shop right now, they're going through it, so I would schedule, upon approval, to go look at it, make sure everything is how it seems.
Why do you believe that it's significantly cheaper? Let's say the 2013 Sioux Falls, $40,000 cheaper.
That's a good question. I reached out to Sanitation Products and Midwest Machinery, and I was unaware of this. Apparently, when other municipalities sell their equipment, they will not give service records for whatever reason. I can't seem to find any other reason why it is so much cheaper. My best guess is that the Midwest Machinery being in such a larger town, they have more inventory. Further than that, I tried to seek answers from Sanitation Products on why it's that much more expensive. And I was basically told the price is the price, so.
Does it, much like a car would have damage disclosures on a VIN number report?
Yes,
Available free online, is that something we can do?
I did ask if there has ever been any issues with it, and to his knowledge, there's never been any issues with it. Granted, as far as possibly a vehicle accident, they go 6-7 miles an hour. I'm not saying that nobody could run into them. I can sure reach out and see if we can
Flood
and
damage,
get
those types
right.
of things.
I could sure reach out and get any of that information, any more that he can possibly give to me beyond that.
Are they on this since it was new?
No, they purchased it from, again, he wouldn't tell me the municipality or how long they had it. But the ones from Sanitation Products, I believe, both were one owners. As the one that we have is also one owner. But yeah, I think it's just come to the end of its life. It's very expensive to operate. There's 10,000 moving parts. It's easy to let a couple of them slip by, but I think the one thing that's different with getting a new one is we have a different maintenance schedule. And going through the records for all of the equipment we have, overwhelmingly all of the service that we did on all of our stuff was in-house, and it was all upkeep more or less. The same goes for the grader, the maintainer, the sanding truck. The 2004 International, all of everything I've seen is preventative stuff, but never any service contracts. So since 2019, we've had at least once a year them into a professional shop to have them gone through. And the consensus on a lot of them has been they're getting old. They've been around for quite a while. And granted, this new sweeper, it's not brand new, but it's a lot more up to date than some of the standards of 2002 or lack thereof.
So often we're purchasing, and this isn't just necessarily you or your department, but we're often purchasing large pieces of equipment from out of state. Have we ever considered hiring an inspector? I mean, you're not necessarily diesel mechanics or have that
Right.
background. You know, for a couple $100, usually you can get someone on site, not just for this piece of equipment, but just as we talk about replacing a lot of our equipment, and if we're getting them off of an auction or something that's Missouri or somewhere else, what would be the value in that, you know, because otherwise we're kind of leaning on you pretty heavy to say, does it work, is it within good condition, and I don't know, you know, whether or not you
Sure.
have that knowledge or you feel comfortable with that.
And I think part of that comes with having the right team, the correct team, in place that does have some of that skill and background that can identify some of the stuff. And I even know from the last couple of years to now, even this year, we've changed some of how our maintenance equipment forms are filled out. Let's add this, let's take this off of there, let's switch some things up. But I do think there is merit to possibly bringing in someone who does have that exclusive background. I don't know what that would look like.
Well, I assume you could find a service in Omaha to go take a look at this thing, if that's what the council would prefer.
Which, and the company that's selling it, that's what they do. It's a heavy equipment company, they buy and sell it. I don't know if a third party would, I mean, we could certainly look into that, just to make sure we're getting.
Just a clarifying question, so would the total cost of the option 3 be the 77,750 plus the 12,157?
Correct, so the 12,100, I can't remember which. Yeah, that,
12,157.
so that is the repair, on our current sweeper, the 2002, that's how much they have into it so far. So if we were to purchase from Sanitation Products, they would forgive that, plus the trade-in. Obviously, that's still more than we're paying. So if we would pay the 77,500 or 750.
750.
But then we would still have to pay that repair invoice to Sanitation Products. The only difference is this sweeper wasn't a budgeted item for this year, so I'm asking for funds from the sales tax bonds. That repair would come out of just the street department repair budget, so that would be separate. That wouldn't be I wouldn't be asking for money for that.
It's not a capital expense, that would still be an operational expense that comes out of the general fund. The 12,000 would be.
I was just looking, because if you add those two together, it's gonna be more than that option 2, which would be a local from Sioux Falls, and it's a 2015, which is a year newer. Just curious, like, do you prefer that
Yeah,
option?
It's still under,
I
It's
would.
still, it'd be 90.
yeah.
Some
Yeah,
of
it would still
the,
be, it would be right at 90.
Okay, yeah.
So does it make sense to scrap what we have and not pay the 12,000 or get the trade-in?
We have to, they've already worked on it.
yeah,
The 12 is sunk cost already.
they're just over halfway through the repairs when I told them to stop because it was, ooh, that's a lot.
Yeah, we're looking at 25,
Yeah,
23 to 25,000.
So this is half then?
this is,
For
yes,
selling
it's
stock.
just over half, yes.
So
I-
they'll take the trade-in of 5,000 with it as is?
Correct, and if I asked them separately, would you be interested in it if we purchase from somewhere else? He said no. We don't want it, but if you're buying from us, we'll take it off your hands, they can do with it what they will.
There is something to be said for maintaining a positive relationship with.
Absolutely, and I don't have any problems with.
They've been great.
All three of these. I believe the 2013 is the most similar to the one that we have now. There's only one broom, and it's on your driver's side, which I guess is the opposite side. It's on your right-hand side. The other two do have dual brooms. Almost all the other features are very similar, which I will do as I am told, whichever anybody chooses.
If we go with option 2 compared to option 3, then it's $5,000 more for option 2, but a year newer, correct? That's a 2015. I mean, is that,
What are the miles and hours on that one?
yeah, is that 1 year newer, is that worth that
Option
5,000?
2 is the 2015. It has 8,000, just over 8,000 miles, or 8,000 hours, excuse me, and 41,620 miles. So it has the most amount of hours and the most amount of miles.
What was option 3?
Option 3 is to purchase from Omaha
Right.
at Midwest
How many
Machinery.
hours and
Hours
miles?
and miles?
That one has 6,390 hours and 40,600. So it's got
About the
about,
same mileage, but. So they're driving faster than.
They're.
It's gonna be, yeah,
I
I mean,
say
given,
they're
given the
moving more
metro
efficiently.
area, you can probably
Faster than the
guess
8 miles
which
an
ones
hour.
have nice, straight, long runs.
Correct.
I'll make a
That would
motion
play a
to
lot.
approve option 3, purchase.
What does a new unit cost?
Upwards of 200 or more thousand.
Thank you.
Keep in mind, council, this may not be the only, piece of equipment, we may be seeking this year. We did budget to, surplus the 1991, GMC Top Kick Sander. 1991 should say it all.
It's a good year. It's a good
It's
year.
far.
Your Brian was born.
The end of its life, yes, the end of its life is coming down, and we've kept it going. Parts and service for that thing are very difficult to come by. That was budgeted, but we did do some extensive service work on the grader and the maintainer, which all of our records and Butler Cat's records indicate we've never ever done it until the last few years. So I think we can manage those repairs. I believe if we were going to need something else, it will be another dump truck. I believe the 2004 has been similar to the sweeper. That's a different discussion for a different time. Sorry.
I'll second.
So a motion,
I
a
don't know if I
second.
need to restate it, because I just saw the recommendation. Motion to authorize use of sales tax bond proceeds to purchase the 2014 Elgin Pelican NP from Midwest Machinery for $77,750. As is with your inspection, but I would like to ask then that we as a city look at future purchases and what it would cost in different cities to do inspection, but for the sake of time and getting this one before someone else does, I think we should move forward on your inspection.
Absolutely.
Note on capital equipment as well, I did send an email around to all department heads last week asking what capital needs they have for equipment in the next 5 years. So we should have an idea of what else needs to be in that capital improvement plan beyond
That's
just.
what I was gonna bring up, let's get a plan to start getting these old machines planned into the expenses.
Exactly.
moving forward.
I think what we'll end up doing in future budgets is allocating a portion of the general fund, maybe even second penny into some sort of capital equipment fund as a restricted use fund. So that when we do need those, ambulance is gonna need a new ambulance in a few years. PD will need to rotate out one of their patrols. Kyle or Brian's equipment, same thing. But that's not a budgetary item in the general fund that we have to worry about making room for. It's just something that we schedule in and we have it planned for several years out.
All right, so your second still stands?
Yes.
So a motion, a second, we will do roll call. Sam?
Aye.
Mauer?
I
Doherty?
Aye.
Swear?
Aye.
Welch?
Aye.
All right, go get that street sweeper.
Thank you all.
Item G, USDOT.
Brittany, I realized in mid-comment that I interrupted you. My apologies.
sorry, you're forgiven.
All right, USDOT Safe Streets and Roads for All grant.
Mayor and Council, we received a request from CCOG to develop a safety action plan through a DOT grant. As a growing community and a growing region, this planning is pretty important to taking steps to limit injuries and fatalities as traffic counts continue to increase. Participation would allow us to be eligible for implementation grants at a later date through DOT and assumingly CCOG as the master planner. Among other areas in which I see the planning grant implementations being applied, pedestrian safety at 44 in Maine, traffic control at 17 and 44, safety at Boynton and 17, and eventually, as we move further out, highway safety at the intersection of 17 and Klondike. This is unbudgeted for 2024. The cost share should not be due until 2025 if the grant is awarded. I recommend the motion to approve.
Motion is second, any discussion there? I will just make note, there is a pedestrian flasher being installed, will be in bid here in the next week or two for Highway 44.
Crossing,
Mhm,
awesome.
Perfect.
so. All right, we'll do all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, approved. Animal ordinances, item E.
Mayor and Council, this was an item requested by Alderman Welch and Riley for discussion of existing leash laws and laws relating to animals at large. I've included the current ordinances as they relate to animals in your packets, and Chief Erickson is here to answer any questions from a law enforcement perspective for your discussion.
Yeah, so I just, there was a incident a couple weeks ago, and it just kind of brought it to my attention. I just wanted to maybe have a little discussion, make sure everything's adequate. Are we doing enough? Do we have enough things in place? What happened, I just shudder to think, if that would have been a little kid, Stacy can probably speak a little more to it, but, what happened, but it sounded pretty,
I think we've had lots of instances in town of animals at large,
Yeah.
and so either we need to do something different or have more strict ordinances in place, and I'm guessing there are other options for what we currently have, if we can strengthen them and hopefully get people to be responsible pet owners along the way. I don't have a magic wand, but you can wish, right? So.
and I know there's a lot of the argument, well, look at my dog, they wouldn't hurt anyone, and, that only goes so far. I know my neighbor's dog is this big, and she can be a little terror. The neighbor girl went over, and she was dog sitting a while back, and she came back home crying and a bloody finger, and same thing with my daughter. She watched the dog one time, she came home crying, so I went down there with her, and it's just a little dog. So yes, they can be cute, but they can be very protective, and so, yeah, I just want to take a look at things. And
Well, in your experience, is there anything that we're not doing that other communities are?
Not really. For the size of our municipality, our enforcement rate on animals at large is on par. Doing some research, we had like 107 animal calls in the past 12 months. The way that we enforce our city ordinances typically is if we catch a dog at large, we will warn them and give them the benefit of the doubt that that's their mulligan. Second time they're gonna get cited. Where some people, you can cite them 50 times and they don't mind paying the fine is what I take out of that. I've had the heart-to-heart conversations, I've pled with them, begged them, but at the end of the day, they refer to well, it's only $100.
What about
Do we need an escalator?
dog or
Yeah.
like training programs? So we had a dog once that when my husband was deployed, I don't know if he thought I did something to my husband, but that was his owner, and he was not very nice to me, didn't bite me, but I was concerned he might. And so we took him to a training facility in Minnesota, but it wasn't cheap. So I'm curious if there are any communities that do, or if this is something we want to look into, where we, much like we have the facade program for homes, not that we would pay fully for training, but information on dog training or a handler, or grants that might be available, or looking at maybe a community-funded program that would help with that participation. If someone has a dog that they don't want to part with, but they think they're not able to control. Because I've experienced that. Now my dog is very small, but yes, sometimes she doesn't bite, but.
I can definitely reach out to the humane side. My nephew had a similar situation with his dog when he left for 6 months up for his job. And when he came home, the dog was completely protective of his fiance. could barely get in the house. There is some programs in Sioux Falls, some specialized people that deal with that kind of stuff. I can do some research and dig into it and see if there's some names or some information literature that we can get, that we can have readily available on hand. If it's something as far as a program that we want to try to encourage to be developed in the city of Lennox, I think there's enough folks in town that somebody might have interest in it. It doesn't hurt to put that out there into the airwaves, and, you know, maybe there's somebody that's, you know, our dog guru, been living here for 2 years, doesn't really know much about our plans, what we intend to do, but that might be the perfect role for them.
The other thing I just wanted to shout out to our emergency responders and police. I wasn't involved directly, but just from what I was told, the response time was like that. And if I'm in that situation or a loved one and they're being attacked by a dog, I mean, seconds count. And when we talk about police force and questions about the funding for police in our community, I don't want to wait 30 minutes because you don't have 30 minutes in that situation. So thank you. And to our ambulance as well.
Thank you. I'll pass that along to the other officers that are, well, Kim was there with me that day. That was a call that we have not had in our municipality for quite some time. I can think the last time I had a call like that was at least 8 years ago. So, if I may, just to touch base on, Nate, did you have something?
Yeah, I'm just reading through 503 here. What would it take for us to escalate the violation to a Class 2 misdemeanor?
That we would probably have to discuss with Brett to see where we would go with that. Typically, it's never been at that level before, and it's outside of my wheelhouse to see what it would take from a municipality, what their rights are as far as if they have the ability to escalate that to a Class 2.
It's in the ordinance, I just don't know if we've done it.
Typically, when we abate something, it turns into a Class 2, which we would offer them a court date, which the retribution, they got the fine, now we're gonna see them in court, they're not gonna get their dog back, they have the ability to appeal that. Only had a handful of cases that's turned into. I can definitely get with Brett and kind of find out if that's something the council wants me to do to try to escalate it. What I was going to say as far as the fineage goes, we've dabbled with the fines multiple different times. The multiple repeat offenses and the escalations of, okay, this time it's 100, next time it's 200, next time it's 300. Our system does do some really good tracking. The problem is that during the time sensitive, when we're dealing with these animals, sometimes it's not till after they've already been returned to the owner that we have the time to go in and search back into our records to find out how many times we've actually had dealt with this one particular dog. And in other cases, we don't find out until 2 weeks later, because the dog's sitting down at the main side. We have created a custom module specifically for city ordinances and writing city ordinance violations. It's different than our e-citation, so it's a little bit more cumbersome. It's very simple by nature. So it does not incorporate all the natural tracking features like with our e-citations. There's an actual tab that says history that we can click on, and we can see all the history of the person that we're dealing with or the address on which we're at. On that one, for our citations, we actually have to manually go through it. So that was something that, when we first got the program, we set that up ourselves.
Yeah, like I said, I just have that new schedule fines and fees, and it's $100 for dogs running at large. And so maybe that's a discussion, is like, the first time is $100. The first time you say, well, again, give them back, don't do that again. And it's $100. Maybe it's,
That's the later.
I was gonna say, how many fines have we issued in the last 12 months, or
We had,
ballpark? I mean, is it 3 or is it 40 or more?
I'd say it's probably a dozen or less.
one second, I apologize. I actually pulled this information and left it on my desk with the papers that I grabbed. So, in total, we had a total of 107 calls in total. We had 15 animal bites, 65 animal calls, 7 are kind of missing animal type calls, so we don't really count those unless they're found. We had 20 that were found animals. As far as citations go for those animals, I would bet we're less than 20 in total. And that's me being generous on how many we've issued out.
And is there like a couple habitual offenders?
That's one thing that I did want to discuss with you about possibly seeing what we can do on Brett's side of things about somebody that is a habitual. Years ago, when we had our old ordinances, it gave us the ability to remove the animal from their care after 3 consecutive times within a 12-month period. That's not the case anymore. It's a lot more. We have to send them paperwork after we've, taken the dog into our custody. They have the opportunity to respond. We end up going through a lengthy court battle, which I'm fine for somebody who isn't taking care of their animal. They're like kids. I mean, there's some vicious ones out there, but why have an animal if you don't take care of it? So I'm all about the safety of the animal and the general public, but I don't know in this day and age how the laws have changed. There's a lot of these laws in STCL that have been repealed. So when we go through and look at the vicious animals or the dogs at large, they're leaving it up to the municipalities for the most part to kind of deem how they're going to deal with it. I have reached out to the Humane Society. They gave me a copy of Brandon's animal laws, and as well as Sioux Falls Animal Control. There was some recommendations made by the Sioux Falls Humane Society on things that we definitely should put into ours. I reached out to Brett. I let him know that I was getting this information. I was going to get it shipped up to him on my revised version of our own and let him take a crack at it and see where it lands. But we can take it a step farther too and try to see if there's something we can get for repeat offenders, habituals.
Yeah, I think
that's a good start.
yeah, I think that's great. Getting something put together with maybe a little bit more updated and
More teeth?
more teeth in it, and then.
There's some good information in the stuff that I just got. And
Perfect.
there's like one clause that's a good lock,
A good one?
a good lock.
I love it. So no, I think that's great, and we look forward to hearing back.
Absolutely.
Appreciate everything, Will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think we're good.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, on to personnel, ambulance, EMT.
Mayor and Council, we've got a volunteer EMT we'd like to hire here, Elizabeth Beener. Elizabeth's father was actually EMT for us a long time ago, maybe paramedic if I remember right. Who passed away this past winter. Everything looks good on our end. Alan is out of the country, so you will note in the recommended motion that it's a motion to hire pending finalized references, but everything else came back good. So, recommend a motion to hire Elizabeth Beener as.
Is that Sam?
I think they both did.
Was it? Who gave the motion, Sam or Bill?
I did. Bill did.
My discretion.
Yeah. Mayor
So what,
discretion.
yeah, we'll do say Sam gave the motion and Bill seconded.
Perfect.
All right, any discussion there? So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, looking forward to having her on board. Next is city council vacancies.
Mayor and Council, we've put together an application with some information on the vacancies that are available, as well as a map of the 3rd Ward. There's a timeline on here as well, so we release applications following tonight. Have them due on March 4. City Council conduct interviews at their April 8 meeting. Plenty of discussion then, or at the April 22 meeting, and then the council is seated at the May 13 meeting, after which the remaining council members would appoint the 3rd Ward, alderman, and mayor from the conceivably whoever applies is your top choice.
I noticed, the mayoral pay is listed, but the city council is not. Is that something?
It's listed.
It is listed right above the map.
Okay. Sorry about that. I was looking down, page 2. Disregard.
The application doesn't show up on this PDF for some reason, but it is a fillable form that we'll be able to put on the website and send out on the app, from our documents page, so on and so forth. We can advertise on all of our usual channels, Facebook, website, we'll put something in the paper, on the app, so on and so forth.
I will not be available on the 8th for the interviews. I will be out of town, not able to call in, but if we can get the list of, are we gonna be able to view the candidates with their?
Yeah, they'll all be under, I mean, we'll put it under.
I can get any questions to somebody to make sure they cover.
All right. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have motion and second to approve advertising for our vacancies. Any discussion there? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. And next up is executive session. If I get a motion to move into that.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second to go on exec at 7:58. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
You want me in?
Is everyone?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
You guys.
See you guys. Thank you. Do you know who is this baseball field one for?
I don't know.
I can't decipher who that signature is. And did we decide, can I sign this one, or are we gonna